We're ready to begin with Yale. We have student athletes Bez Mbang, John Polakidis, and Nick Townsend. Reminder just to state your name and affiliation when you're asking questions. And now we'll take questions for the student athletes. Go ahead.
Bruce Earl, Fox, Denver. John, or any of the players, the level of confidence after achieving a win like you did a year ago against Auburn, how much does that carry over, realizing it's a year later, but ironically against a 4 seed again from the SEC?
Definitely brings us a lot of confidence. Obviously, Texas A&M brings a different challenge that Auburn brought last year, but the fact that we know that we can play on this stage, honestly, with anybody in the country is something that, you know, carries us to working hard, and we're excited for the opportunity tomorrow.
Right here, guys.
Hey, Nick, Alex Miller from the Bryan College Station Eagle. How much of an emphasis have you guys been putting on rebounding when scouting A&M, and what you guys have noticed what they can do on the glass?
Yeah, absolutely. They're a great rebounding team, #1 in the nation, offensive rebounding, so it's been a huge point of emphasis for us. I think we're all dialed into it. I think our coaches have done a good job preparing, and now it's just about going out and fighting with them and executing them all.
Right here.
Olin Buchanan, TexAgs.com. John, you just said that looking at A&M, it's different than Auburn. So what strikes you? What's different about preparing for A&M and what you see as opposed to when you prepared for Auburn last year?
Yeah, like Nick said, Texas A&M obviously builds their identity on what they can do on the offensive glass. And also what they can do on the defensive end. You know, their box scores for an SEC team are, you know, fairly lower in point average. So we see that their defense tries to muck things up with their switching and sort of chaotic nature, if you will. So, you know, our coaches have been doing a good job of just preparing us for that, seeing what different teams did to combat that type of defense.
Other questions? Here.
I'm curious if any of you guys have gotten a chance to talk to Danny Wolf, obviously, on the other side. I know, you know, there's a potential maybe to face him in the next round, and maybe what that might be like.
Yeah, I spoke to Danny a little bit. It's obviously we were all kind of anticipating that the committee might have put us against each other in the first round, just of the nature of the game, and obviously the competitive spirit that I thought, you know, Yale versus Michigan might bring. But, you know, Danny's our brother. He's had a great year, and we're all super proud of him and what he's been able to do at Michigan this year. And, you know, hopefully we'll meet up in the second round.
Anything else? Back here.
Ben Rabb, Yale Daily News. Last year, I think you guys had 5 players averaging double figures coming into the tournament. This year, you've got 3 players named to the All-Ivy first team. What is it about, you know, this team culture that keeps on producing such, you know, like versatile, multiple attacking threats, and, you know, why does that make you guys dangerous?
I mean, Coach Jones has harped on this a lot about like the next man up mentality that like Yale has been so effective at. So I think it just goes to show how good they are at recruiting and finding guys who sometimes lurk under the radar. And so yeah, I'll give the credit to the coaches for that. And yeah, we have a lot of guys who are ready for that opportunity. Y'all see that throughout. You guys have seen that throughout the years, and that's going to continue to show. So, credit to the coaches for sure.
Is there a team y'all have faced this season that you feel like is similar to A&M, the style of play that they have, the way that they go after things?
I don't know if there's a team that plays similar to A&M, but I thought the Ivy League this year played at a faster tempo than we might have been used to in years prior, and sort of playing at that pace definitely, I think, will definitely prepared us for this challenge. Obviously, like I mentioned before, we know the SEC plays a fast style of play, and exactly what I said. I think we're ready.
Other questions? Okay, we'll dismiss the student athletes at this time. Thank you, men.
Thank you.
We'll be out with Coach Jones shortly. For Yale, we'll have head coach James Jones. We'll now take questions for the coach.
Hey James, Alex Miller from the Bryan College Station Eagle. As you guys have looked at A&M, how much of an emphasis have y'all put on rebounding in particular, and what do you see from A&M that you feel like makes them so good at rebounding?
Well, we feel that we're a pretty good rebounding team too. But looking at Texas A&M, they are tenacious, they're physical, they're strong, and they go after the ball like no one I've ever seen in nobody I've seen in a long time. So boxing out is going to be truly important for us. And if you're able to win a rebounding battle against Texas A&M, that's a great recipe for success because they put so much of emphasis on getting second and third shot opportunities.
Let's go back there first, then we'll come to you.
Hey, Coach. Eddie Pels with AP. It's obviously no secret that Ivy League schools have been competing in a bit different atmosphere than everybody for a long time. I think maybe it's been exacerbated over the last couple of years. I just wanted to get your thoughts on staying competitive and doing what you do, and whether the arena that you're in this week, where you're going up against a big team from a very big school, means a little bit more because of the widening difference between an Ivy League school and an SEC school.
I'm perplexed, actually. I don't see a widening differences between us and anybody else. I think that you started the statement out by talking about how the Ivy League has been very competitive in these areas. And, I feel that we can continue to be competitive in these areas given the parameters that we have. Texas A&M is a really good basketball team. Buzz does a tremendous job with them. But, this season we went out and we played at Purdue. I think we lost by 7 points. And it was at that point I thought to myself, if we were good enough to win our league and get to the NCAA tournament, that if we played a team on a neutral court like Purdue, we'd have an opportunity to win. Like, matchups are important in how matchups go. Some matchups are better than others, but we feel like we can compete with just about anybody that we line up against, and hopefully we can prove that tomorrow.
Right here.
Yeah, Coach Olin Buchanan, TexAgs.com. You probably touched on this with that answer just said, but I'm going to push it a little bit more. Why do you think that teams like y'all last year, and I guess was it Princeton 2 years ago that had a nice run, that Ivy League teams have maybe more success in this tournament than people may not realize?
Yeah, because people don't think we're any good. Right? No one gives you any credit for being any good. Like, if you read the name on a chest and you feel like, oh, they're Ivy League school, you're supposed to be X, Y, or Z, but it's a misnomer. It's not reality. So, we feel like, again, we can be competitive, and the teams in our league can be competitive against a lot of teams in the country. Now, are we the best team in the entire country? Well, we're going to have an opportunity to prove that, but we certainly feel like we can compete with anybody, and I think that's what's really important. I saw the line; it's 7.5 point line in the game tomorrow. So it's one of those things that the people that are actually betting on the game and to think about it that way feel that Yale could be competitive. And so we want to go out and we want to try to do our best and prove that we belong where we are. And I just think that the history of college basketball doesn't speak very well for us in who we are and what we've done. I took the program over at Yale in 1999, and there were 315 teams in the country. Yale was ranked 313. So we're no longer the 313th team in the country. We're a little bit better than that. We just feel like we can compete with everybody else.
Go here first. He's coming.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, as you guys are sharing a lot of confidence, as when you look back and maybe at the wins that you had against like Baylor and last year against Auburn in the NCAA tournament, are there any common denominators that you felt like you guys were able to beat those teams that you're carrying on into this season?
It's hard to contrast and compare from year to year. I think going into last year when we played Auburn, I was trying to look for an avenue to be successful. I thought Auburn was seeded down. I thought they should have been a 1 or a 2 seed. They were really so good last year, as they are this year. especially with their statistics. And I was trying to find an avenue that we would be able to be successful. And I don't know that we went down that avenue to win that game. In the back of my mind, I wasn't saying I think John Pulikidis need to go off and have 28 points for us to win. But I just feel like, playing these teams and them playing us and trying to compete, we're better than people think we are. And I think that's kind of it. Like, I look at the tournament, then the teams that we've played. The only team that wasn't very competitive was, I think, the 2020 team or 2021 when we played against Purdue. And we were 19-12, and we won our conference championship, and we were not the best team in the league that year. And we were able to get to the conference tournament and win the conference tournament. But most every other year, we've been about the best team in our conference. And when you are, you're pretty good.
Right here.
Hi, Sarah Kelly. I'm with the Denver Post. How would you compare the high stakes of these tournament games with kind of high stakes Wall Street stuff? And do you feel like your NCAA corporation work prepared you for your career at Yale?
No, it didn't. It didn't. Well, the only thing it did do, is sort of to get the gas. Sales is similar to coaching in a lot of respects, recruiting. You have to be able to sell yourself or whatever product you're selling. And I have a great product in Yale University, so it makes it easy for me. Those are some great times, and I have great fond memories of that. But, it's a whole different ball game now.
We'll hear first.
Yeah, hey, Coach. Chris Thomas of Denver Gazette, doing something on fathers and sons. How did your son end up playing tennis for Villanova, then perhaps playing basketball maybe for you, or what have you?
Oh, God. So my son, he never grew to the stature that he would have to be a great college basketball player. He's probably about 5'8", and he's got a great basketball mind. And I got to admit, when he was 13 years old and he was at my day camp, he was killing dudes. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no way I'm paying for college because of what he's been able to do on the court. But he just never grew to the point where he'd be a college basketball player at this level. But tennis was something he took to at a very early age. He was 5 years old when we put a tennis racket in his hand, and it was like a fish to water. He was just really good at it. We do what we do best, and that he's doing what he does best right now.
Right here.
James Hawkins, Detroit News. Question about one of your former players, Danny Wolf. I guess for you, what's it been like to see him bet on himself, kind of make the jump up and have the season success he's had at Michigan?
All these jumps ups, huh? Hey, listen, Danny's a tremendous player. He did a tremendous job for us, and his stats are very similar what he did for us and what he's doing now. The only thing he's not doing is shooting his free throws as well as he did for us. He's a tremendous player. His usage is higher for Michigan than it was for us. But I've been watching and following Danny all year. We've communicated all year. Great kid, great young man, great family. Couldn't be happier for him, and I'm sure he can't be happier for us. And, a lot of people are telling me, I'm sure the guys from the NCAA, they put those two teams and maybe you'll play them in the second round. Yeah, I think that was the last thing on their mind, Danny Wolf playing against Yale in the NCAA tournament. But it'll be a lot of fun if we get to that point, and that will mean that we actually won a game in the NCAA tournament again as a day. So I'm voting for that.
We're here.
Coach Paul Cleed, Denver Gazette, welcome to Denver. We're seeing the Coach carousel start to move around. You've been at one place for a really long time without knowing the inner workings of your situation there. What has kept you at Yale? Why have you decided that that's not something you'd pursue?
Well, no one's pursued me. That's probably the biggest issue there. Like, I've been at Yale for 26 years, and there hasn't been a job that's better than Yale that's come calling. Yale's a tremendous place. I have a great relationship with my athletic director, our president, and the student athletes that I get a chance to coach every day are second to none. So it's a brilliant place to coach. I leave work every day, can't wait to get back, and I wake up every morning, can't wait to get there just because it's just a great place, and there's the people around it make it so special. But, like I said, no one's coming knocking.
Right here.
Mark Passwaters with Rivals. Coach, your defense has been solid all year. A&M has a tendency to sputter at times offensively, but they have one guy who can go off whenever he wants in Wade Taylor. And how do you go about defending a fellow like that who can just get hot and alter the course of a game?
Yeah, so we've played against a few guys like that. Xavion Lee in our league is a bucket waiting to happen. Keno Lilly's a bucket waiting to happen. Xavion, he was NBA on NBA draft stock was really high last year. So we have a young man on our team by the name of Bez Mbang that does a great job of guarding guys one-on-one and being able to get through screens. So we feel pretty confident that Bez will be able to, make it difficult for him to score. Now, obviously he will. But what we want to do with a great player, you just want to make it difficult. You don't want to give him anything easy, and we're going to try not to give him anything easy tomorrow.
Right here in front, Coach.
Good afternoon, Coach. Mike Lyle, KUNC Radio. How are you?
I'm great.
Welcome to Denver. People always talk about coming to a region like this, the altitude and the elevation. Have you felt that? And what's your thoughts about having to play where you're over 5,000 feet above sea level, and now that can impact the way you guys are able to perform at this altitude?
All right, so here I'm going to tell you a story. I'm 11 years old, and I fall off my bike. I chip my front teeth. I cut my chin. I got cuts all up my arm. I got a scar on my wrist and one on my shoulder when I was 11 years old. All right, and first time in my life, somebody asked me if I'm okay. I said, no, I'm not okay. My mother came home. She looked me up. She looked me down. She goes, you're all right. So at that point, I knew I was going to be all right with just about anything. So you're talking about coming out to the altitude. I don't feel it. I don't. I've been out here. I come out to Colorado every year with USA Basketball. We play Colorado. I don't feel it personally. Now, again, I'm not the guy that's playing, but I've worked out and I've run in this state, and I haven't noticed any difference in how I feel. Now, my trainer and her assistant have done an unbelievable job at making sure my guys have oxygen, altitude sickness, and they're doing all those things to prepare them, but I don't think twice about it, to be honest with you.
Back there.
Hey, Coach. Ben Rabb, Yale Daily News. You've been to the tournament, I think, 5 times since 2015, 2016 now. Do you learn something new each time you go? Is there something you learned from last year specifically that you hadn't picked up on in previous years?
There's always something different, Ben, with the way this goes. It's just a wonderful, unbelievable experience that you have that you're able to share with your community. Yale Nation, we have our cheerleaders and our band here, and people that are part of this, and it's just a great opportunity for them with the hard work and effort that our coaching staff and my players have put into it. So there's always something new to learn. I'm not certain what it's going to be this time, but there's always something new. But I'm enjoying every second of it, to be honest with you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you for your time, Coach.
Thank you.